Yeah, I'ma kill you in a second if I have to. Use my mind as a weapon when I blast through. Put the basics in the base.
All right, episode 19 of the PT Performance Podcast. Flying just the two of us today. Nate, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, man. How are you? Good evening. No, Richo.
No, Richo. Now, for those that are playing along from home, like outside of this, us three fellas, myself, Nate, and Richo included, are pretty busy. This is usually recorded at 9 o'clock at night, just so you guys get an understanding of when we fit this into our schedule. And looking at the reason why Richo can't be here today, some might call it excuses, but it seems pretty genuine. He started his day this morning at 7, and I've got his last client tonight at 9 p.m. So unfortunately, we don't have him today, but it's because he's actually out there running a business that we are preaching and teaching you guys how to do the same.
Well, when he's about to head away for the weekend because his wedding's coming up in a couple of weeks. So he's got his bucks in Melbourne this weekend. So he's got to kind of condense and get everything in.
There you go. So jam it all in so we can still do what we want to do outside. So that's the reason why there's no Richo, but Nate and I got the ropes today, and we're going to be taking it back to a Q&A session. I've had a couple of questions come through. Some of them are fairly common. When I say common, we've had them raised or asked of us more than once by more than one person. So we figured we'll take these and we'll work them out. Talk them through and see what we can sort of dig out of them to help you guys out. So let's just jump straight into it.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Righto. So I'll go with the first question, Nate. So this one's how do you develop your confidence as a PT? So as a personal trainer, how do you go about developing that confidence that you see successful PTs display?
Stuffing up a hell of a lot is probably the best way to get better.
Yep.
I mean, you're gonna learn and you're gonna pick up little things from other PTs purely by osmosis. In the initial stages of someone learning to be a trainer, I always like to see if they have actually ever paid or invested in personal training sessions themselves. Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't. They don't think it makes any sense. I come at it from a point of view of, I think you should have at least paid for personal training for a certain amount of time or some kind of training service, purely because so you know what the experience is like. Especially if it's a trainer or someone that you admire. I mean, some of the best learning experiences that I have had that have made me a better coach purely by dealing with clients and confidence on the floor has been with having sessions with other coaches who are better than me and picking things up. Just the subtle things they might do, maybe the positioning of how they are, maybe the way they'll talk to clients, maybe the way they motivate during sets. And then, of course, you can kind of blend things in with yourself. But really, that whole confidence thing does come from making the mistakes. No one is perfect at this game. You'll definitely have your strengths, but there's a shit ton of weaknesses we all have that we have to tweak and get better at. And that's really the only answer that I can truly give. Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you, dude. I take it back a step and look at it and go, let's say we're selling cars, car sale industry.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working for Audi, what should you be driving?
Well, you probably should be driving an Audi.
Should be driving the Audi, right? So that goes in line with what you were saying, that if you want to be a PT, you should have a PT. Now, how are you supposed to sell, promote, or really push the benefits of something if you have no idea? For example, if I turned up to the Audi dealership in a Mitsubishi Magna, I might be able to sell Audis. I might have the charisma and the personality, and I might know the stats, but really, can you really get amongst it when they start asking you the big questions? Can you answer those? So if you can't, there's going to be that element of lack of confidence. So therefore, if you're driving the Audi and you're working for Audi to sell, you probably have that confidence as well.
Yeah, that's where the empathy factor comes in. I mean, there's a lot of trainers who are quite successful that have their main business is fat loss. They've never themselves been overweight. So it's hard to get the empathy. I find sometimes the most successful trainers are people that have come from backgrounds of needing PT and stuff. Like I know several girls who used to be severely overweight through their own, experiences and journeys of getting trainers and losing weight and having resolve, and have dropped all this weight and then struggle to, keep it off, put it on, keep it off, put it on. They make really good coaches because they've got a very decent understanding of what it is that the girls and people they're after are going through. So there's
long beyond the practical.
There's a different kind of connection there that you just can't fake.
Yep, I agree. So So having that confidence, how do you develop that confidence? Is by being immersed in your product, which is you, by understanding.
You're going to have to make a
aspect
lot of mistakes. You're going to have to realize that being better at what you do takes a very long time. And in the beginning, like anything, you'll make leaps and bounds, and you'll be way better at month 6 than you were at month 1.
Yep.
But the subtle differences you will find between someone who is a 7, 8, 10-year trainer compared to someone who's been in the game for maybe 1 can be staggering when it comes to certain experiences and situations. There's just some situations you have just never been in before because you haven't been in the game long enough, maybe, that other people could account for.
Yeah, absolutely. So just understanding another one, I guess. I was kind of going on a different tangent there, but aggressive patience.
I hate patience. Like, I don't have it. And the more I do things, the more I realize that it's an inevitable part of every single game. And just when you think you're patient, you're not patient enough. You've just got to kind of accept the fact that it needs to be there. You have everything that you want always takes twice as long as you think. And it's so frustrating and it's so annoying. And there's not a lot you can do other than just get back to the grindstone and just keep hammering away.
Yeah. And that's why I give it, and it's not my term, but I like the term aggressive patience, because it's going to take some time, but what you do to fill that time can be the difference. So if you can go out and find ways to be better at your craft, and sure, that might open the door up to a couple of failures along the way, but you're getting them out of the way a lot sooner than if you are passively being patient, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I'm with you.
Right. So mastering the craft, being on the tools, being around others that are confident and that have been there and walked the path already, they're ways to develop your confidence. Seeking feedback. Don't be afraid to ask people for feedback, whether they're a mentor or someone you look up to, or your actual day-to-day clients. People respect the journey. It's something I've heard recently, and I really resonate with it. People would rather know from you that, hey, I'm developing, I'm new to the game, I'm trying to get better, I'm investing in myself and my time and my education. Give me some feedback as I go. They'd much rather that than someone faking it as if they're already there, but clearly aren't. So that's another way to develop your confidence, knowing that you're developing at the right rate. You're not sort of bluffing it and trying to catch up to that.
You can also ask clients for feedback on stuff too. Like, you don't have to go in with it like an exam feel. You don't have to go in and say, hey, I want your stiff feedback on this. What did I do wrong, or what did I do that? You could just ask it from a team perspective. Do you think these sessions are giving you benefit? What do you think about this? Like, putting it on the symbol of the trainer-coach relationship, not really going, hey, do you think I'm a shit bloke? Like, specifically asking clients, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think?
How did you find the session? Did you find that we did this? Is it sort of where you want to be? How's the timing?
Like, at the end of the day, like, the whole goal is not them to be with you. The goal is them to get to the goal, right? That's really the reason why you're there. So if you take yourself out of it, it's not like maybe they're upset with you, they're upset with the business. If you've got someone who's like, I think we could be better here, they could be better there, it probably has nothing to do with you. It probably has to do with the structure of the stuff you're doing with them.
Yep.
But a lot of people will take offense to that and take it personal, because I certainly did when I started getting feedback on stuff.
Which is probably why a lot of people don't ask for feedback, to be fair.
Yeah, like I get it.
They want to hear the bad stuff.
Yeah, if you don't address the things that you're bad at, you will absolutely grow. You'll just grow at a slower rate. And if you're comfortable with that, then I'm comfortable with it too. But for the most part, most people aren't, because it's the thing they complain about is, why aren't I growing fast enough? So if you want to grow faster, you've got to be willing to put yourself in situations that is going to leave you up to probably feeling a little bit hurt, even though it might not be directed at you specifically.
Yeah.
And
we touched on this, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, does that answer the question, but you've got an elaboration on it. So keep going.
Oh, yeah. The only other thing I'll add to it, because we covered this in episode, I think it was 7 or 8. 7 was, what would we tell our rookie self? And 8, I think, was our first Q&A. And I'm pretty sure it was one of those 2 episodes where we talked about another way to develop your confidence is to understand what your strengths are, what your niche is, and go hard on that. By making your strengths stronger, that ultimately will give you more confidence. Just like when you're lifting, like if your strength is your bench press and you develop that, then on chest day, you're going to feel pretty awesome. If your weakness is, let's say deadlifts and it's dead day, you're going to go in there feeling a bit off, you know. So know what your strengths are, go all in on those, and understand your niche too. You can develop that confidence knowing that that's your strength, that's your niche. Let's go. So cool. That's probably wraps that up, I guess, with how do we develop our confidence as a PT? Know your shit, know your limits, get better.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're going to get better. Just realize that it's going to take you time. You're not going to be the experience of a decade-long trainer in your first 6 months. You can learn a lot of stuff, but the time and the subtleties will inevitably show up. Here's a good one for you. This will actually be a really good one for you. Is as a new trainer, how do you establish your prices for your services?
Yeah, that's solid, man. I like that question because there's a lot of pressure, for want of a better term, out there for PTs to be charging a certain amount at a certain time in their career. First and foremost, you've got to figure out the facility you're in for a start. What are the people in the facility charging? So it doesn't matter what you think you're worth straight away. You've got to understand what people are already willing to pay for it in that facility. And then gauge, you know, seek some feedback from the guys that have been there, done that as well. But you've got to gauge it. For example, if you walked into a facility where an experienced long-time personal trainer is charging about $100 a session, it's a fair thought to go through your head, go, well, people are willing to pay $100 a session here. However, it's probably not right, or it's probably not a smart move for you to jump straight at that. If you're a rookie PT, you're new to the facility, and you simply don't have the runs on the board that trainer has. I've always been, now this is where it gets tricky, I guess, because the standard of PT is not as strong as it should be. However, as a flat rule, $1 a minute is usually what I go by for entry level. So 30 minutes, $30, 45 minutes, $45, 60 minutes, $60. That's where I would go for someone who's literally done their Cert 3, done their Cert 4. They're in the game now and they're learning. Again, if there's pricing restraints or whatever at the facility, it may be a different story. But $1 a minute to start with, then show what you're worth. People will pay what you're worth, you know. And if you fill your books up real quick, put your prices up.
Yeah, like price was always something I struggled with for quite a long time. Like I would go somewhere and I would just charge what everyone else was charging, whether I was comfortable with it or not. I think the first thing to be said there is, regardless of what's going on around you, you can use that as an absolute gauge because you need to kind of gauge the market, like you said. But if you're not comfortable charging what other people are charging, then don't do it. Yeah. You need to charge 100% what you feel you're worth, even if that number is drastically lower or potentially higher than what other people are doing. Like you have to kind of back yourself in that regard. It doesn't matter if you change your mind along the way. I think that's totally fine to want to go up, or maybe, oh shit, I want to go back down. I had a situation early in my career where I was charging higher amounts due to changing a system and a structure. I brought my prices down in order to encourage people to train more. And I went back to those clients who were paying a higher rate and just said to them, hey, look, this is the structure I brought in. As a result, these prices have gone down. It's not fair to you to keep paying this rate. I'm going to bring your rate down. Now, that's definitely not the right way to conduct a business, to go backwards on your prices. I absolutely get that. But that was just my own moral compass guiding me at the time.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good, right? But but that was the lesson that I learned. I went in too high and wasn't comfortable with what I was charging. It didn't make me feel easy.
Yep.
There's two sides to that argument. You know, charge what you're comfortable with and whatever else. And the other side of the argument is charge a little bit more than you're worth so that you raise your game.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm kind of on the fence for both, and I really do think it depends on your personality, but definitely in the beginning, I think going what you feel is comfortable, even if other people are telling you it's too cheap, you can always put it up more later.
Yeah. Yep. I've always been that way, and I'm through football and stuff, I'm performance driven always. Like if something's good, I want to try and make it better. If something's better, I want to make it awesome. And that's how football and training and business and to most of my life, it's what I try and do. So I was of the opinion that I could charge a lot more than I did when I first started. But there was that part of me that wanted to start at a more, and this isn't right or wrong, just a more humble price is where I wanted to in, and I already had visions of being able to get to this next level quite quickly, but I wanted the market to determine that. I wanted people to go, well, yep, we're happy to pay that. I would release a bit more of my style of training or a little bit more of the knowledge I had, and that would be an easy conversation to have then. Look, we're now at this level. I want to open this opportunities here, but that means we're going to have to put the price to X. And in a similar vein to what you said before, Nate, then we opened multiple sessions a week, which reduced the per session rate, but obviously, you know, you're making more out of it across the week anyway. Look, at the end of the day, the market's going to tell you what you're worth. What you bring to the table is going to determine what you're worth. We've talked about this in earlier podcasts, is having a business plan. So with that in mind, taking that for granted as part of this conversation, we haven't just rocked up into a gym and gone $60 an hour. You know, you've got to have all that sort of thought out, at least on paper, before you go in anyways.
Yeah, like you need, understanding where you are matters a lot. Being comfortable with what you're charging matters more.
Yes.
In my opinion. So go for it. Ask around. Most people will give you a rough number. Where did you get that number? Oh, because this person told me that's what it was worth. Like, they don't have an idea. So take your gauge from there.
Yeah. And consider, like, how many hours, like, we talk about a business plan. We talked about this in a couple episodes back. If you want to make 100K a year, you're going to need to be charging X for X amount of sessions, etc. You've got to at least have that conversation first. It doesn't mean that's the number you're rolling with from day one, but you've at least got to have had that conversation to understand ballpark of where you need to be or where you want to be in some frame, in some time, and then work towards that. So
yeah, charging less per hour or per session or whatever obviously means you need to have more clients and whatever to make your targets. But at the same time, even the lowest charging PTs is often just as good, if not slightly better, than what most people are getting per hour, even when you reduce tax and everything else out of it. So you're pretty much in a winning situation, even if you think you're starting from the bottom. Yeah.
And it's a good carrot to dangle in front of yourself as well. Like, this is where I'm going to start till I hit X. Once I hit X, I'm bumping up to Y. Once I hit Y, I'm bumping up to Z. And if you just keep moving forward, that's business growth. That's the word everyone talks about, scaling, you know, so that's part of it. Good.
Yep. Sweet.
Right. That's how you establish your prices, guys.
Yep.
All right. Back onto a question for someone on the tools day by day. Nate, what apps do you recommend for recording client results, tracking programs,
etc.? Okay. So this is we'll go through a couple of options that you have, and I'm not going to be able to name them all because I don't know of them all. Obviously, in the world of technology, you have a plethora of choice in front of you, and you need to go out and experience all of these things to find out which suits you best. Because I've spoken to lots of trainers. This is one of those questions where you'll get 100 different answers and no one's really wrong. So we'll go through a couple of the most popular options. I will give you my personal feedback if I've used it, and you can go out and make your own tips from there. Okay. Basically, you go to the App Store, you type in weight training stuff, a lot of stuff's going to come up. As far as stuff specifically for PT businesses, one of the biggest ones on the market is Trainerize.
Yeah.
So that's an app that's also got a web-based platform as well. Very user-friendly. You can build all your programs out of that, store your clients' results, has a monthly billing or annual fee. It's an American-based company, so the charges in US dollars. Fairly reasonable. I will say that you will find your own little things that you don't like about certain interfaces. Like, there's certain things that this one didn't provide me that I wish it did, but for the most part, this is the one that most people will go for and like. Trainerize is a massive one. The one thing I should have said beforehand is, if you're looking to use one of these softwares for your clients and stuff like that, this will be your whole data house. To me, the prices are set at such a point that if you're going to use them, you need to be going all in. So that's a consideration to make, is that you should be trying to put, if you're going to get this system and maybe get it and trial it out and whatever like that, once you decide to migrate clients over, you need to be putting all of your data on this system, because that's what they're paid for. It's what they're designed to do. I've used it and then I moved off the platform, and then you had to go through the arduous task of exporting all the data. And I just went back to straight old Google Sheets, which I'll go through next. that was just a personal choice because it wasn't giving me some stuff that it wasn't providing the value that I wanted to provide to the clientele that I had at the time. Some clients needed it. My clientele didn't really give two shits, and it wasn't really worth the expense.
So on that, Nate, as someone that's using this stuff on a day by day, and someone like yourself that's been around a long time in the industry,
Yep.
my view on Trainerize was it can give a reasonably new personal trainer a tool that enables them to appear more advanced than they are. And then this is not in a negative tone. This is in a good way in terms of it makes life easier. But I felt that as someone who's been around the industry for quite some time, I'm like yourself. I've got a Trainerize thing. I've got a couple of people that are on it for the sake of that's their age group as well. They're my daughter's age with the rugby sevens, and it's app, it's friendly, it's visual, all that sort of stuff. But from a trainer's perspective, I like the Google Sheets. I don't need the videos of someone demonstrating. I don't need some of the other instant messaging and applications that are part of it. So if anything, I'd say that if you're a complete rookie, it's great. But then the biggest issue you're going to have is as you develop and as you grow your client base and they put more and more data in, you have to be aware that some of that data is off or out of your hands. Whereas in the Google Sheets, it's pretty much still in your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, like it depends on the kind of trainer that you are. For the most part, it's very user-friendly for clients on their interface. That's probably the best thing about it. It makes it very straightforward for clients to adhere and structure to programs. It's literally load it and follow it down the page. It'll preload numbers for you of stuff you've done before, so it'll give you gauges. It will have video libraries and stuff. There's no doubt going to be features you don't use in any of these systems for sure. But, you know, if you want to trial any system, get on. They have trial structures. Get on and trial it out. My PT Hub or my Fit Hub is another one. Never used it. Other people have raved about that. They like that. Travis Jones is making his own one at the moment. That's going to be integrated as like a MyFitnessPal, like a Trainerize. He's got a full team of developers. He's a fucking nut. That's building out this one that he wanted to do. He's got some stuff going through it. Good old Google Sheets and Google Drive, like Excel documents, is pretty decent as well. Like Google Drive is pretty much like Dropbox. Essentially, all the sheets update in real time. So if you and I share a folder and it's free, if I type Mooney is the best in it, you will see that 2 seconds later pop on yours. It's a cloud sharing, much like the way Dropbox works. Google Drive is free, can take up to 15 gig worth of data, which is a shit ton of data. And then if you've got to pay for an extra after that, it's like $2 a month, like total, to go to like 30. It's nothing. It's very inexpensive. The only caveat to that is that you will obviously need to build out or use all your own templates, and then you go through the process of tweaking and tinkering those as you start to move forward. If you're okay doing some back-end work, that is a great suggestion. You're just going to need to be really good, especially when dealing with new people, explaining how to use it and going through the system. You can't just kind of set and forget this one. You have to pretty much go with it.
Yeah. And for anyone serious about building their business and growing, I don't think it's such a bad idea, because if you can understand Excel and the concept of Google Share and stuff like that, it's going to pay off in different areas too, not just in your PT, but in your bookkeeping, in your marketing, in your budgeting. Quite a fair bit of different things you will benefit from knowing and understanding how Excel works, I believe.
Yeah, you'll inevitably have a little bit more freedom in terms of what you're able to do with the sheets and stuff like that. Some of these systems only allowed you to load on so many documents and do so much stuff, but the sheets themselves give you that pliability, but at the same time, there's more background work in the beginning for you to do so. I know a lot of trainers on both sides of the spectrum that run successful businesses. I mean, you might start on one and then transfer off. Go with what you feel is best at the time. Be willing to swap on a dime if you need to. There's a lot of options out there. You have a lot of choice. Really, the power is in your hands in this one. Yeah,
nice. And for those that are tech illiterate or really struggle, I've mentioned this before too, notepad and pen. Worst case, you just can't wing it and not do shit. Yeah. But it is 2018, so, grow, learn, educate yourself, get on one of these. But if you really are a caveman, notepad and pen's at least going to keep the data you're going to need.
Yeah, something to provide a track record of progress for yourself as much as them, okay? Yep. Next question. Is working in the fitness industry, is chasing a supplement sponsorship something that was, so basically this question isn't really worded, so I'm going to kind of give it some texture. So is chasing a supplement sponsorship as a PT good for business, or is it just for Instagram validation or social media validation? Is it a yes or is it a no?
Okay. In the context of new PTs developing, growing their business and entering the industry, you got bigger fucking things to worry about than chasing a supplement sponsorship that might make you $5 a tub, $10 a tub of something. The additional hassle of having to service that. Look, at the end of the day, I would probably just, if you're into the sup game and you feel that they will benefit your client, find a sup shop nearby and just go, hey, listen, if I send my guys down, can you take care of them? Simple, nice and easy. If you now have a decent amount of clients and they are adhering to your program and they are into the subs and you can provide them with education other than just, here's the latest stim jacked fucking pre-workout, go nuts, then you might be able to put that in their program. You might be able to make something of it, but I'd say that's a fair way down the track. And if you are sold the dream by a supplement company, I guarantee you it's for their benefit, not yours, not your clients.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say here is I don't really care if personal trainers have an affiliation with a supplement brand as such. Sometimes it's because they have a larger social media following, and of course they want to have like a win-win benefit. The trainer gets free stuff and they get their brand promoted. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with you being affiliated with the store. I mean, the store, same thing, win-win. They get to service your clients. They give you some product or a good discount on the side. Like a lot of stores will do that, and that's just pretty smart business. You were going to get it somewhere. Why not get it from them? The only problem that you'll run into here is the same problem that some big box gyms are running into with the multi-level marketing stuff like Isogenics and Herbalife, and I think there's maybe another one. The only thing is that you'll run into problems with here is that they will be using the PT banner almost as a smokescreen or an add-on to the fact that they're really just there to kind of get you onto a reoccurring regime because it's good for them and they want it to be good for you. Not saying, I'm not going to open up the doors of whether those products are good or bad or not.
Sure.
But this is the problem that those chains ran into, is so many trainers were going to that as a supplementary form of income that in the long run it was damaging not only their businesses but the branding of those clubs. So they had to put a blanket face on it. So if you are a personal trainer who has an affiliate branding with, let's say, one brand, let's say it's Black Dog something, whatever. God, that's the shittest name in history. Let's say you have an affiliate exclusive sponsorship with those guys. I mean, it's really up to you to promote that brand, whatever agreement you have with them. If you're then giving that product to every single one of your clients because it's good for you and you're really thinking about you and not them, there's a problem there. But as far as you having a specific sponsorship, I kind of don't give a shit as long as you have your own clients' interests at heart. I know a couple of PTs who have specific affiliations with brands. They don't push all their stuff onto clients. They will tell clients, this is good for you, this is not. I mean, they're doing that ethically to me. And that's where I feel it's fine. I think it's okay. I just think you need to toe the line of who your stuff is good for and who it's not.
Yeah. I mean, and to qualify further where I started, I use supplements. We sell them at the gym. I've always recommended them to my football teammates, to my clients, to my friends, to my family. So I'm not anti it for one bit at all. I do believe they have massive value when prescribed to match the client's goals and what they're actually looking out for. My thing on this is, as a fairly new personal trainer into the industry, should you be trying to chase a sponsorship? Should you be trying to promote hard for some sort of kickback? No, not at all.
Only because
bigger things to watch.
Yeah, you do. Only because it's not going to have the impact you think it's going to have. In fact, supplement selling as a business or an add-on to your business is, whilst fine and well and dandy, in the grand scheme of things, is not going to add that much of a percentage.
That's my point.
For the amount of effort you have to put into it. Really,
Yep.
it just shouldn't be a thing for you. So if you're trying to get an affiliation thinking it's going to help you a lot, it's really not.
Look, for the effort you'd put into servicing, for building a relationship with a supplement shop, for having to maintain whatever the deal is you make with them for the off cut, for the bonus or the discount or the freebies. If you put that effort into a new client, you'd be making and generating more revenue as a PT than you would from what that benefit would be to you. So do that. And like Nate said, once you have a significant following and you've developed that personal brand, the opportunities will present themselves. And by then there'll be opportunities worth sitting down and discussing and really digesting of how that's going to benefit your business, rather than using it as that could give me an extra $20 a week, or that might, give me some free subs and $20 a week, which might alleviate this problem. Nah, focus on building your business first, and that stuff as an opportunity, as a revenue stream, will come later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Right. Again, this is another one. These are almost fallen perfect in terms of who's asking who and the feedback on this one. So this is something that I have never done and will never do, just not my thing. So I'm going to throw it back to you, mate. Is, should a PT or does a PT need to get on stage in a bodybuilding, body sculpting, figure, whatever competition to prove they know their shit?
My answer is a definitive no. And the reason why I say no is because the way I see a lot of people go through the process of getting on stage, it's incredibly short-sighted and ridiculous. So doing that doesn't show that you're knowledgeable. It just shows that you've got enough consciousness to be able to suffer for a while, which really isn't the be all and end all of results or health or maintenance or most of the stuff that your people will deal with. So no, almost fell off my chair. I think if you're going to want to prep people, it's a good idea that you've gone through the process and done it yourself. I know many a successful prep coach who hasn't actually done that themselves, but their background of biology and endocrinology and stuff like that leads them to be able to be good at their job and good at what they do. I think it helps to have gone through the process for empathy. I also think it helps to have gone through the process and made some mistakes yourself. Like, I've only competed twice. I think the first time I sucked at it. I think the second time I sucked a little less. I just know what to expect at certain points in time. And that's really all it needs to be. It doesn't define you as a trainer. It doesn't mean that I don't think it means that because I got on stage in a tan and sparkly is that I am therefore more qualified to get you in better shape than someone who hasn't been on stage. In fact, I think that could be further from the truth. In fact, I'll make a blanket statement. If your business card's got you on stage, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I think if that's your promo, which most PTs, their promo is a photo of them on stage striking a pose and then writing next to it of like diet and nutrition plans available. Fuck off. Like, no one cares. Like, it's self-indulgent, and really it doesn't lead you to getting any more business. In fact, it probably puts off the gen pop, which is the most of your business, because you're a self-indulgent asshole. Like, most people who prep or go through prep, going through a prep, if you've never done it, is a very selfish endeavor. No matter how good you think you do it, someone always suffers. I thought my last prep was amazing until I actually spoke to my wife, and she said that she just felt like I didn't talk. So like, it's not indicative of you being a good coach. In fact, most people who are prep coaches, I think, are fucking terrible coaches. Like, it's because you have the mindset of whatever it takes to get to the goal, which is great to a point. You're not dealing with people who are whatever it takes to get to a goal. You're just trying to get someone to maybe eat lunch. It's very
another thing is, I mean, from a perspective of someone who doesn't compete and has no real intention to ever want to do it, like, seriously, I'll never do it, is I've seen businesses go to the brink of extinction some couldn't be recovered. They put so much time and effort into that, they forgot the core of their business is to service their clients, where their clients had to play second fiddle to their meal time, to their training regime, to their time away, all that sort of stuff. So, like, honestly, if you're, again, we're talking the context of a reasonably new PT, I would almost say, if you are considering getting on stage in the first year or two of your PT career, fuck, you want to be disciplined. Like, disciplined and bipolar.
Not even. No, not even. I don't think that's the thing. The thing is, if you talk to someone who is experienced enough in terms of prep and going through the process and stuff, no matter how well or bad you do a prep, at some point, it's going to suck real hard. No matter how good the prep was or how bad it was from the start. It's at some point, it's just going to get shitty because your body doesn't want to be there.
Sure.
If you are a coach who wants to go through the prep process, there are measures you can take in order to make sure that when you are training clients, you are at your best. Meal timings, training timings away, caffeine timings, like stuff like that. There are things, there are sleep. There are precautions you can take in order to make sure that your business still runs effectively. And yeah, there's going to be a time near the end of prep where maybe you're going to need some time off, travel to the show, maybe it's in another state. It's like holiday time. And clients will know you're going through the prep process, and they'll probably definitely appreciate, hey guys, in the last week, this is what's going to be happening. You're gearing people up for that. But prep is not something that happens to you. It's not something that's forced upon you. You don't need to take it out on your clients. The first prep that I did, I was a moody little bitch. I think the second prep that I did, I was a moody little bitch. But I think I did a better job of clients were asking me questions about it. And I would admit when stuff was hard, but you don't get to make it all about you.
Yes.
So if you absolutely 100% do it while you have a business, and you can even grow a business and stuff. It's just harder, and you maybe have to fake it a little more at certain times.
Yeah. Good way to clarify that.
That's really all it is. You can absolutely do it. I have absolutely seen businesses fail to the detriment of their preps. And if you would have talked to me, like I'm 30 now, if you would have talked to me several years ago about, the context that people always more older than me would say, you're going through all this process just to win a shiny trophy at the end, I'd be like, that's not the point. And it really isn't the point. But if you boil it down, it's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of, getting yourself all rattled up and stuff for a local show to maybe win or put yourself in a better position to go on. I mean, competing is not the be all and end all. I never want to be a pro. I had some goals in it. I might still have them later on. I don't have them now. It's just not the biggest deal to me at the moment. I get that it's a big deal to some people, and when they're in it, they're in it. But
like most sports.
People, it's always outside looking in. People on the outside just don't give a shit going through it. They don't care. So if you're going through it and like do a good job of hiding it, do a good job of just being you, no one wants to hear about it all the time. Like really,
and I do believe that it's something that has exploded in the amount of people that are interested in this now, and that use it. Like I'm a competitive dude. Like I played football for so long, and life literally got put on hold during the football season, especially as it got closer to the competitive end. So I get the mentality of competing for the plastic trophy. We made a joke of it. We used to call our medallions chintzy medals because they're cheap and nasty. Like they're just a little medallion, but you'd give up 8 months of the year, several hours a week to prepare for this plastic medallion that in a couple of weeks after they fell apart and shit, whatever. So I get that. I get why people throw everything in at it, whether it's even bodybuilding or any other competition. I'd just be saying PT business, if that's your primary, if that's what you're focusing on, it needs to be that. If anything becomes a distraction to that, then you either have to be prepared for and accept it, that the distraction has got you to where you are, good or bad, and or know when the time is to eject out of that and maybe look at it down the track, So in terms of do they need it for validation? Again, no. I know some amazing trainers, strength coaches, transformation people, whatever, that not only have never been on stage or have any real need to, they've very little even played high competitive sport, but they know their shit and they know how to get the result out of you, and they know how to make sure that your results stick around for years and years to come. So it doesn't need to be done as validation. it doesn't need to be there to boost your social media. I understand the visual aspect and all the rest of it that goes with it, but just like the supplement thing, you've probably got bigger things to worry about. But if it is something you're passionate about, just be aware of the weight that it carries.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. What was our next one, dude? All right, here's another one. If you haven't had this yet, PTs, you're going to. It could be at the end of your Kickstart or your intro session. It could be at the end of a conversation. So, Nate, a couple of strategies here for handling I don't know if I want to go do some PT, but could you write me a program instead?
Yeah, okay. So let's start right at the very start of the sales process, because more often than not, most gyms will tell people that, the personal training is, they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll do this. Being in sales, sometimes budgets need to get met, numbers need to get hit. So salespeople will say what they need to say within reason to get the deal over the line. So it's often they will have like, oh, the trainer will do your program, they'll do your food. They'll promise all this stuff that probably really shouldn't be in there, and the trainer might get sideswiped with it. So just know that could potentially happen. It's not because they don't like you, they want to screw you over. It's just because they got to get stuff across the line. That being said, you are more than likely going to get it of someone maybe doesn't want your services, but they want to kind of milk your expertise a little bit. We've all had it, and you'll probably definitely have it again. Here is the way that I have approached it. And you can choose to believe whether this is a shit system or a good system. First and foremost, the power is in your hands in terms of selecting clientele and stuff like that. If someone's not qualified for maybe continued coaching or whatever, then that's a conversation you can just go, oh, this person's not going to be a PT client. I don't want them as a trainer, as a client. They're not good for my business. Maybe they're a ball bag, or maybe just because you just know they're just not going to get the benefit that you think that other people could get out of it. Basically, someone asked me, oh, can you just write me a program? Cool. So the way I would approach it is this. This is not the exact script, but this is what I would do. So sure, I'd love to give you some structure to follow on what we've done with our sessions so far. Here is a base template program that I have for all newcomers to the gym that you can take and follow and see some great results from. I will tell them this is a base template I give to everybody, or I have on offer to everybody. You can follow this, yada, 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 yada. Unfortunately, I cannot write tailored programming that you seem to be inquiring about. The only reason I cannot do that is that would not be fair to my paying customers. You understand that. And most people definitely understand it, because they're in a business where they're not going to give shit out for free.
Yep. I like how you do that. That's solid.
Most people absolutely do that. So to save yourself the heartache, what you can do is you can have a program that you've put together, just a basic 4-week one, have a few printouts available. Hey, so either Mrs. Jones, in my brain, you're a ball bag and I don't want to work with you because you just whinge and don't shut the fuck up. But here's so you have some value. This is a program that I give to all generic people. It doesn't account for injuries and stuff like that, but you can swap this for this and this for this. Just telling them straight away, just give them some basic stuff to help them out. You can take this, go away, and it'll give you some structure. Now, what you have is you've given some extra value because you've given a program that really didn't take you any effort to do in the first place. And number two, you've got an in. You've got an in that in 4 weeks you can do the follow-up and go, hey, Mrs. Jones, how is that program going on? Oh, I actually haven't been back to the gym since then. What the fuck, you lazy bitch? Let's get you in. But you don't say that. It works two ways. So it works both ways, and both are genuine. You're kind of providing some value so that you don't just go, I only do it if you pay me, which really doesn't come off well. And I've seen trainers do it.
No matter how. Yeah.
I've seen trainers do it. It doesn't come off well. What do you think? This is a charity. That doesn't come off well either. But if you've got someone who, oh, cool. So you're interested in programming. So I have this generic based programming, but it sounded like you wanted something tailored. Yeah, I wanted something specifically for me. Cool. There might have been confusion at the start. We are unable to offer that straight off the bat with these sessions. I'm sure, as you understand, that's an additional services that clients kind of invest in. I'm sure you understand that. Yeah, I get that. Sucks, but whatever. Cool. We can we can actually sit down and have a chat as to how I would run it through for you. This is what I have in my thought process already. And I'll physically sit down and I'll run someone through. This is probably what I would do if I was working with you. I won't outline the whole program, but I'll give a timeline. Oh, I will probably do this at the start, and then I'll do this here. We probably throw some of this in. So I'm giving them an idea and painting a picture of what it's like to move through the next 3 to 6 months of working through their goal.
Yep.
And then at the end of that, I'll go, this is the investment for that. How do you think that would go for you, or whatever your sales process is?
Man, guys, if you're listening, there's some really good practical ways to move around that question. And I think they're all very valid, and they're things that I've witnessed over the years myself. So well played, dude. I mean, one thing that I'd spin off on that is to say, it's like when people walk into the gym and they go, I want to know your prices. No, you don't. You didn't walk into the gym just to ask prices, because it would just give you a number and out you go. You came in because you want to see if it's the right fit for you, and are you going to actually stick to it, and do they have some cool equipment, and does it feel good, and are there good looking people there, or bad looking people, whatever. There's other reasons why. It's not just the price. So when someone says, hey, yeah, cool, I just want a program, it's because they think that's what they got to ask for. Okay, if they haven't specifically come in for APT, they're thinking, well, what do I do next? I've joined, step 1. Step 2 is now I need a program, so I'm going to ask for one, right? So if they do, great. I've always been similar, Nate, with I go, let's have a couple of template style programs. Okay, I've got strength gain, I've got movement mobility, I've got fat loss, I've got lifestyle. I've got a couple, and then within reason, you flex them to fit without having to spend a great deal of time on it. They are for the people that ultimately, for whatever reason, just go that path. Okay. But in saying that, there's heaps of different strategies, and it really does depend a lot on you and what you offer. It depends on the rapport and the relationship you've built, albeit in 10 minutes or in 3 30-minute sessions, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But if you knew, we've talked about adding value or providing value and understanding our strengths and our niches, but if you knew what you offered would significantly impact in a positive manner their life, would you have a different conversation? For example, if you knew that what you could provide them over a 12 or 16-week period would significantly change their quality of life, would you let them slide with, yeah, I just need a program? Or would you go, you don't need a program because you won't do the fucking program. You need someone to keep you accountable. That's what I'm here for. I can slide you a program, and in 3 weeks' time, in 6 weeks' time, in 12 weeks' time, you could get some improvement and some results from that, but it won't be the same as if we work together over this period of time. But again, you can't have that conversation unless you've built that rapport by doing the things we've talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah, and unless it's in your personality to do so.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true to do it off the cuff. But again, with all training, man, if this is what you want to do, not everyone's going to want to do PT. Not everyone's going to jump at the chance straight away. So I think understanding and being able to step out of your comfort zone, again, depends on how extreme you want to go. But you are going to have to step out a little bit, at least at first, until you realize that having a confident conversation with someone about the benefits, the real actual benefits of doing work with you in a PT relationship, once you can pull that off, then it's no longer as big a challenge anymore because you believe in it. You have that confidence. You drive the Audi that you're selling.
Yes, sick. I'm with you. We got time. We got time for one more.
I think so, dude. What's our next one?
Let me find. Hang on, I just got rid of it. So I think we're done with that one there. Let's finish on this one.
Yep.
I think we have touched on this, but it might be good to touch on again. What determines long-term retention of a client? How to retain someone long-term? And fuck, I had a good answer while I was training someone at 8 o'clock tonight. I came up with a really good little flow, and I've forgotten it. I should have written that shit down.
Look, I mean, while you're trying to jog your memory, again, I know we've covered this, is provide great fucking value, provide ways and help your client achieve the results that they are after, and do that on an ongoing method, but also develop a relationship. Be a good fucking human, build massive rapport with them, and keep educating and helping them grow and push on through their journey. It's not about tricking them. It's not about trapping them. It's about making sure that it's a mutually beneficial arrangement where you're growing and enjoying the time together, and they're getting twice as much growth and enjoyment out of your time together.
Yeah, I'm with you. So here's what I had. Long-term client stuff is not overly tricky because even who some people would deem the worst trainers in the world will sometimes have clients that stay with them forever. Like it's just, so long-term client stuff comes down to a couple of things, and it's results is one of them, but I don't think it's the key thing.
Well, it depends on what your definition of results are.
Yeah. I don't think it's the key thing that everyone's thinking about.
Sure.
Like body transformation or whatever.
Yeah, or body fat loss or whatever. Yep.
Yeah. So my big thing with long-term client results comes down to like three things mainly. Number one, it comes down to rapport in terms of interpersonal interactions.
100%.
Like if you and I hate each other, we're not going to be a really good client relationship long term. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's probably the first one. The second thing it comes down to is it kind of comes down to a little bit of circumstance in terms of, no, that's number three. Circumstance is number three. Number two, it kind of comes down to the teamwork and the planning of stuff. Not really the planning of the programming and everything. It's kind of getting them to buy into the model, like being a team and doing stuff together and everything like that. I think that matters a lot. And then the third thing is circumstance. Circumstance of financial, circumstance of living arrangements. Just a few of those things as to whether it can keep someone around long term.
Yeah, and being aware of them.
Yeah,
like you said, if you build that relationship and rapport, you kind of know where they're at. They're not going to sideswipe you with, I'm moving, because you probably already know that, or I'm pregnant, or my job's changed, because you should already know that stuff anyway. So
yeah, like there's a lot of stuff you're gonna, get to know with these people. Long-term client stuff. Sometimes I know some trainers that are just lucky, like they've just had people for a long time and they're just lucky. I know other trainers that have had to work to keep people for a longer time. The only thing I'll tell you, I've definitely had clients that I've had for a couple of years. I've still got a few clients that I've had for the longest time in the world. We get along great. Sometimes the goal is more pressing than not. And sometimes they're just trained to train and kind of a bit of maintenance and stuff like that. But really it's all about the whole time is you're not trying to make the process about you. Like you're not getting so comfortable that you're just treating it like a friendship, even though it is.
yeah,
it's still a little bit of a business arrangement. So you've got to have that toe that company line, that little bit of professionalism in there. You kind of can't just throw it all out the window. And then, yeah, it's kind of circumstantial as to whether they can stay with you for a long time or not, really.
Well, I think one thing that I've got a slightly different view on most of that is if we're talking luck, I'm not sure how lucky you can be when we start stretching it to a long-term or a long-term client.
I only mean lucky in terms of circumstance of this person.
So like
lives in a certain area.
Well, yeah.
They're not moving. Maybe like their career's here and they don't need to grow anymore.
So
like, come in next week and I'm moving to Sydney, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I get you.
Life circumstance.
I mean, we got a PT at the club, Chris, and he's been with one of the first guys I brought on 5.5 years ago now.
Yep.
I would say that half, if not more than half of his clients have been with him for over 3 years. A couple of them have been there since day one for 5.5 years. Now, Chris won't mind me saying this. He's not the most advanced technical personal trainer. He's definitely not someone that has been on stage or done or any of the stuff that a lot of people would expect a long-term PT to do. But what he does is he builds massive rapport. He gets his clients their results. So whether that means physical results, weight loss, weight gain, muscle transformation, whatever, or that they have a reliable, dependable, professional guy there to guide them through 1, 2, 3 times a week as required. Yep. Whatever it is, he's getting those results for them. So long-term can be done. And I think the most common things to be in the equation are what we've discussed: rapport, availability, understanding each other, relationship, and continually to provide what both parties need for it to be an ongoing relationship. It's weird. It's just like life.
Yeah, like sometimes it works out good, sometimes it doesn't. Like I couldn't give you a specific formula to keeping someone long term. There's a couple of, sometimes luck does have something to do with it. They can just be around you for a long time. Like
just how it all lines up. Yeah.
A
quick one on that, because this was the bottom half of that question, was righto, take it back one step. We just mentioned it in that conversation. How do you build rapport with clients?
Oh, Jesus. I mean,
This is easy, man.
I
Don't be a
I
shit
don't,
human.
like, I don't, yeah, like there's some people that you just aren't going to click with, but you're kind of asking me like how I wake up in the morning. I don't know, open my fucking eyes. Like, it's not that much of a rocket science. It's like ask questions about them, be genuinely interested in their stuff, give a shit. They'll ask some stuff of you. Like, it's not
But this
really.
is tricky now, Nate, because I mean, for guys like yourself and myself, one, we've been doing this a long time.
It's nothing to do with the job, though. It has nothing to do with.
No, that's my point. That's where I was going to. Some people say the wrong things at the wrong time, naturally. Some people don't have that awareness about them. I spent a lot of time in my early years, I'm talking late teens, early 20s, learning this stuff. I've always been I've always been able to engage in conversation easily. As a kid, I was the kid that got told I could talk underwater with a mouthful of cement, all of that sort of stuff. However, building rapport was a bit more challenging for me. Like once I got to know someone, it was great, but that initial step, so I had to learn those skills, how to be able to start conversations and allow it to flow. Now, for me, one of the best ways to do that, and this is not a path I recommend everyone takes, but I worked as a nightclub bouncer for a couple of years. That made it really easy to be able to break down and initiate conversations in different environments. But it is something that you got to recognize and go, if you are struggling with it, fucking learn how to be better at it. There's books, I can name a bunch of them. How to win friends and influence people is probably one of the most well-known ones. But there's ways. It's a skill. If you haven't got it, go fucking learn it. If you're okay at it, get better at it. At the end of the day, it's asking questions and listening to what the person is saying. That's a big thing. Finding commonality. You can almost find commonality with just about everyone if you give it some thought. But yeah, don't be a shit human. Have a genuine care about their story and their situation. Think about what you can do for them rather than what they can do for you. Like, we've covered a lot of this stuff anyway, but building rapport, while not difficult, doesn't come natural to some. So you've got to be aware if that's you.
Yeah, absolutely. But really, that's probably the easiest question to answer out of all.
Yeah, I think that's probably good that it came last too. So,
and that's us.
Awesome. Number 19 is a wrap. Guys, we'll get this up on the usual forums on YouTube by the end of the week. Castbox, I think we're about to do another upload there. So that's up to episode 15, I believe. So I'll try and get in the next week. I'll try and get that up to speed with another 4 episodes on that to catch us up.
Sweet.
For those that are noticing, the reason I got the banner up tonight is to hide the cave that's going on behind us, but new location, and we'll be setting up a bit of a podcast studio, which I'm pretty excited about. We'll get the boys around. We'll be able to do it in one space live rather than on the Zoom, just for something different. Some really cool guests lining up. I've said that before, but we've had confirmation on some amazing movers in the industry that I think, scratch that, I know our listeners and us ourselves are going to draw massive value from them. I won't drop names yet. I'll wait till we've got them literally coming on the show. But if you are a regular, stay tuned. These are people that are going to bring ridiculous fucking value to your ears and your brain. And when we do post it, they're on. Make sure you tune in and listen. Take your notes. Yeah. They're going to be epic.
And we need more reviews, please. We need more 5-star reviews on iTunes. We need to get above a few other shows that will remain nameless, of some people who are probably good humans, but they're very shit at what they do.
Guys, for the guys that are listening, the reason we need that is not to stroke our egos. It's not for that. It's that the more reviews and the more 5-stars and stuff, it pushes us up the rankings so that more people can find our shit.
Yeah, they find us easier. They listen to our stuff easier. I get more famous. Everybody wins.
Awesome. Episode 19, that's a wrap. Next week, we're coming out with number 20. I'm pretty confident that one of our guests that I just mentioned will be on that episode. So it'll be good. If we line up well, we might even be able to pull most of it live from here and just get the guest tuning in on the Zoom. So that'll be kind of cool. Stay tuned for that one, guys. In the meantime, have a great week. Get into your shit. Be a great fucking trainer and make some money and make people happy.
See you guys.
See you.